So everyone and their mom is trying to get perfect tier 5 armor for the best builds that they can possibly make under Armor 3.0. And that requires farming out very specific archetypes and tertiary focuses from the different activities in the game. Now, one of the things that is supposed to make this easier are the armor focused ghost mods, but there's been a lot of conjecture about whether or not these actually work. From what I've seen, no one's actually provided data. So me and my friends wanted to set out, collect over 750 drops worth of data to show you guys some evidence on whether or not these work or they don't, which is going to be very fun to break down and dive into here in just a second. Before we get into it, if you like this more analytical side of Destiny, it's something that I'm trying to push even more on my channel, in addition to the stuff we already do. So if you're excited for that, make sure to subscribe. I have a couple banger videos coming in the next week or so that are fairly similar to this in terms of breaking down how the game works, which I'm pretty excited about. I also want to thank a ton of people. I'm going to forget some, but my normal friend group that you guys see on the channel all the time, Chemo, Hoon, Babs, Chili, Wabi, Shrimp, definitely forgetting a couple people, I'm sorry. Cole, Sherpa Mine from chat, they were helping as well. I think Vertigo might have given a couple. And then the amazing Scorched Report or Scorched Enthusiast community, Sneaky, East, Raviolu, Gerb, among others. They were hopping in and helping us collect all this data and teaching us how to play Team Scorched as well, so we could get as efficient drops as possible. It's pretty sick. But long story short, those amazing people helped us collect a ton of data, which is what we're going to be going over in this video. One additional thing to mention, and then we'll jump into the data, I promise. This was a huge process. We were manually recording stuff. So if any errors are found, or if any corrections need to be issued, or if someone else supplies more evidence that kind of goes against what we're saying here, I'll update the pinned comment down below. And if anything's significant enough, I'll also make another video on it. But as far as we can tell, this is pretty airtight data. But let's go ahead and just break down the data. So the way we actually recorded it is we had a bunch of people put on specific ghost mods that focus for a specific archetype. And then over the course of 100 to 120 drops, we recorded what drop they actually got, what archetype their armor actually dropped with. And you can see around 100 to 120 for every single ghost mod. That is summed up here, and it is actually tabulated in this purple table here. The purpose of this, just to explain my process, is just to make sure I didn't have any typos. So the check sums up the horizontal rows in the purple table, which is all the drops tabulated, which are actually tabulated based off of a specific spelling. And then the green checks how many filled cells there are in each horizontal row up above. And so if the green and the orange match here, that means I didn't make any typos and every single data point is accounted for, which is exactly what you want to see. We wanted to make sure to get at least 100 drops for all 6 archetype focusing mods and no focusing mod. And just to kind of call this out, there are a number of things we didn't account for or record. So there could be additional variability or trends here that we're not looking at because we didn't look at the tier of item that dropped. Most of them were tier 4 or tier 5. We didn't look at the slot it drops in, so I didn't record whether something was a helmet or a class item. The activity it came from, the vast majority of these were from Scorched for Solstice, but we also did raids and K1 Revelations and Caldera as well. So a wide variety of activities here, and the character that it dropped on, Warlock, Titan, or Hunter, was also not accounted for or recorded. So there might be some stuff there. We really just wanted to isolate very specifically which ghost mod you were using and what the archetype was that it dropped. So the final percentages are seen here in the blue table, and this is where the most important data is. Now, the kind of diagonal row here, where I have kind of outlined boxes, that is where you would expect the highest drop rate to be. So on the kind of the column here, you have the ghost focus that you were using, and then on the horizontal row, you have the archetype that actually dropped. So for instance, if you're using a gunner focus, you could see that 30% of the drops were gunner, 12% were bulwark, 17% were specialist, 12% were brawler, 16% were paragon, 12% were grenadier. And the highest percentage in a horizontal row for a given focus is highlighted green. So in an ideal world, your highlighted green, your highest rate of drops, would also be in that diagonal line, which you can see is the case for 5 out of 6 drops. We also had a control with no focus. Now, you can see there's quite a bit of variability. If everything was just an even 1 out of 6 drop, you would expect about 16.7% for all 6 archetypes, because you should have an equal amount of drops. This is where it is very important to call out that we only did 100 to 120 drops per focus, or no focus, and that is not a super foolproof, bulletproof sample size. There is going to be noise in there that is going to decrease the more drops you have. So we could definitely go to 250, 500 drops and get more concrete averages. What I will say is that's why I think it is important not to look at any of these individual rows and make specific conclusions just based off of one single mod. But as you start to combine and conglomerate all that data and look for trends between all of the rows, like in this diagonal space, for instance, that's when you can start to have a lot more confidence in your data and draw, I think, more meaningful and concrete conclusions based off of that. And another thing I want to call out, yeah, there is actually some discrepancy here. So when you're not using a mod, you can see it's all over the place. Like you only get Brawler 10.6% of the time. But I'm very confident with more drops, this would all end up equaling out. Like, I don't think that armor is weighted or bugged naturally. It seems to be working just fine. Let's go ahead and turn our focus to the specific mods now, though. So like I mentioned, in 5 out of 6 of these cases, the highest drop rate was dropping in the focused archetype, and by a significant amount as well. You can see the one case where that didn't happen was Paragon. If we actually go and look at the drop rates here, you can see there's definitely going to be some noise. We, for some reason, got a ton of gunner drops, but because that only happened with one specific ghost focusing mod, it's not that I think the Paragon mod is broken. I don't want anyone to take that away from this. I think that is just some of the noise that you're inherently going to get in RNG data collection. And if we were to push this out to 250 or 500 drops, that would probably fall more in line with the other ones. But because 5 of the 6 mods do appear to be working and increasing that focus, and where your highest drop rate is conclusively in what you are focusing for, I think we can start to make the conclusion, or at least suggest that the data does support the fact that the ghost mods are working. And if you take the average of the increased drop rate, so essentially I took the average of all of the diagonal rows, the drop rate where you are getting your actual focused archetype, it comes out to 24%. Probably supposed to be 25% if Paragon, we didn't get unlucky there. So I think Bungie likes to operate in round numbers when it comes to drop rates. That's at least my headcanon, and I think that has proved true over time. And I think it just makes sense where normally you would have a 1 out of 6 chance to get an item to drop at a specific archetype. If they want to increase that drop rate and give you a little bit more agency over it, but they want to make sure you still have to farm for your armor, increasing that to a 1 out of 4 chance makes a lot more sense to me. And I think the data supports that. So in conclusion, it might feel like these mods are not working to you. You might have really long unlucky streaks where you're getting different archetypes, but in my opinion, this data does suggest that the drop rate for your specific focused archetype is increased, and you should be using them if you want to focus a specific archetype. If you have anything else that you would like to ask down below about our process, or any insight or criticisms or anything like that, please leave a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, plenty of more really fun data science stuff coming up that I'm very excited for, so make sure to subscribe for that. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and I love your faces.